Captain Marin Holt had seen many strange things in his 12 years of space service, but nothing prepared him for the day the Javari Dominion tried to give him people as a gift. His ship, Soul's Whisper, rested quietly in border space, waiting to begin a diplomatic exchange. The meeting was supposed to be simple, a trade agreement, a few polite words, and then a safe trip home. But the moment the docking bridge sealed, Holt sensed something was wrong. Human officers usually heard the low hum of machinery, the soft tapping of boots, the normal rhythm of a busy station. But here, everything was silent. Too silent. The Javari were known for cold formality, but this silence felt heavy, like someone was holding their breath. Holt stepped through the airlock with two of his officers behind him. His eyes scanned the Javari reception hall. There were no banners, no welcoming council, no greeting party. Instead, a single Javari guard stood by a metal container the size of a small room. He bowed stiffly. "Captain Holt," he said, "your tribute from the Dominion." Holt frowned. "Tribute? Our meeting was for trade, not tribute." The guard avoided his eyes. "Orders from above." He pressed a panel. The container doors slid open. Inside were three women, thin, exhausted, and trembling. Their skin was a pale silver blue, marked with faint bioluminescent lines that glowed softly across their cheeks and arms. Their clothing was worn and torn, as if they had been traveling far too long. When they saw the humans, they flinched backward, but only for a moment. Then one of the women, the youngest, reached out with both hands. Her voice cracked. "Human, they gave me to you. Please don't send me back." The words hit Holt like a physical blow. The other two stepped forward too, their eyes shining with fear. They were not offering themselves. They were begging for help. Holt's jaw tightened. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded, turning to the Javari guard. The guard's eyes were cold and empty. "These three are traitors who fled internal judgment. The Dominion gifts them to you as a sign of goodwill. What you do with them is your choice." Holt could hear the hidden message. They were not a gift. They were a problem the Dominion wanted to disappear. "What kind of judgment?" Holt asked. The guard's mandibles clicked once, a sign of annoyance. "Their crimes are classified." The youngest woman whimpered. She clutched Holt's sleeve, desperate but not forceful, like someone who expected at any moment to be pushed away. "Please," she whispered again, "do not return us. They will silence us. We know too much." Holt's heartbeat thudded in his ears. This was no simple diplomatic mission. This was a trap waiting to spring. He looked at the women more carefully. They were not dangerous. They were frightened, shaking, and so soft-spoken that he had to lean in to hear them. The oldest of the three had a long burn across her arm, poorly healed. The middle one kept glancing over her shoulder as if expecting guards to storm in and drag them away. This was not how allies delivered people. This was how tyrants disposed of witnesses. Holt stepped between the women and the Javari guard. "They are now under human protection," he said firmly. "And we do not accept gifts of people." The guard frowned. "You misunderstand. Rejecting them is not an option. The transfer is complete." "Not on my watch," Holt replied. He tapped his comm. "Whisper, this is Holt. Emergency extraction. Prepare sickbay and secure quarters." The Javari guard stiffened. "Captain, you are making a political mistake." Holt stared at him without blinking. "Humanity does not hand people to tyrants. Ever." The guard's lips twitched with irritation. "Then you invite consequences." He turned sharply and walked away, leaving the humans alone with the frightened trio. For a moment, neither side moved. The women looked at Holt as if waiting for him to change his mind. He could almost feel their fear filling the room, thick as smoke. Finally, Holt knelt, so he was eye level with them. "My name is Marin Holt," he said gently. "You're safe now." The middle woman shook her head. You do not understand. The Dominion will come for us, and they will blame you. Holt smiled slightly. Let them try. He guided them toward the docking tunnel. One walked slowly, one limped, and the youngest seemed on the edge of collapse. His officers moved to assist, careful and respectful. As they walked through the narrow connection bridge, Holt asked softly, "What are your names?" The oldest woman answered first. "I am Vela." She pointed to the middle one. "This is Lyra." Then to the youngest. "And she is Nira." Nira offered a tiny, tired bow. "Thank you for not sending us back. Everyone else always sends us back." Holt's chest tightened. "What happened to you?" Vela hesitated. "We should not speak here. The walls may listen." That alone told Holt enough to quicken his stride. When they reached the Soul's Whisper, the difference in atmosphere was immediate. The ship was warm, bright, and alive with the buzz of human activity. Crew members paused, stunned by the sight of the trembling aliens entering with their captain. Holt spoke quickly. "Medical team, full checkup, gentle hands." Dr. Arya Tan, the ship's chief medic, hurried over. "Captain, what?" "No time," Holt said. "Just help them." Arya nodded and guided the three women into sickbay, speaking softly, explaining each step before touching them. The women seemed shocked by this kindness. While the medics worked, Holt headed to the bridge. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Jonah Reese, met him halfway. "Captain, what's going on?" "The Javari cut our communications link." "They tried to give us 3 refugees as a diplomatic gift," Holt said. "I refused." Jonah blinked. "They gave us people?" "Not willingly. They were terrified. Something bigger is happening." On the bridge, Holt opened a secure channel to Earth Command. Static crackled across the screen. The Javari were already interfering. "They're trying to isolate us," Jonah muttered. Holt clenched his fists. "Because we took the refugees. They want them silenced." The navigation officer spun in her chair. "Sir, Javari patrol ships are moving, not toward us, yet, but they're positioning themselves." "Preparing pressure," Holt said. Jonah glanced at him. "So what's the plan?" Holt looked around at his crew, people he trusted with his life, people who believed in the same principles he did. "We protect them," he said. "Whatever happens." Jonah let out a low whistle. Then it's going to be a long day. In sickbay, the women sat together on a medical bed, wrapped in warm blankets. Nira looked the weakest, her hands trembling even after treatment. Vela held her protectively. Holt entered quietly. "How are you feeling?" Lyra spoke first. "Your doctor is kind. We have not seen kindness for a long time." "Good," Holt said. "Now can you tell me why the Dominion wants you back?" The women exchanged a fearful look. Finally, Vela whispered, "Because we carry knowledge, dangerous knowledge." "What kind?" Lyra swallowed hard. "The Dominion is not preparing for war with humans, Captain Holt. They are preparing something far worse, for their own people." Holt's stomach tightened. Nira's voice was barely a breath. "A control network, one that takes away free will. We escaped before they could test it on us." Holt felt a chill run through him. Mind control. Enslavement. If true, this was beyond anything intelligence reports had hinted. "And they want to silence you because you know how it works," Holt said slowly. Vela nodded. "And now they will accuse humanity of hiding traitors." Holt crossed his arms. "Humanity doesn't abandon the innocent. You're safe here." All three women stared at him with the same expression, hope mixed with disbelief. "Why?" Nira whispered. "Why help us?" Holt smiled gently. "Because it's the right thing to do." The women exchanged soft, stunned looks, as if no one had said those words to them before. Before Holt could say more, Jonah's voice came over the intercom. "Captain to the bridge." "We have a situation." Holt sighed and stood. "Rest. You're safe here." He turned to leave, but Nira caught his sleeve again. This time not in fear, but in gratitude. "Thank you, human," she said softly. "Please, don't send us back." Holt met her eyes. "I promise." Then he walked toward the bridge, toward the consequences waiting in the dark beyond the hull. Captain Marin Holt reached the bridge in long, quick steps. Even before he entered, he could hear the tension in the air. Officers spoke in low voices, consoles beeped with warnings, and the large front screen displayed the star-dark emptiness of Javari border space, now dotted with moving red signals. Lieutenant Jonah Reese turned as Holt stepped inside. "Captain, you need to see this," Jonah said. Holt approached the main display. A cluster of Javari warships had begun to spread outward, taking formation like quiet shadow wolves surrounding prey. "Are they approaching?" Holt asked. "Not yet," Jonah answered. "But they're tightening a net around our position. They're waiting." "Waiting for what?" Holt asked. "For you to hand over the refugees," Jonah said, "or for permission from their leaders to strike." Holt felt a slow, angry fire warming inside him. The Dominion knew exactly what it was doing. This wasn't diplomacy, it was intimidation. The communications officer, Kayla Pierce, spoke up. "Sir, they're blocking all long-range channels. I'm trying to break through." "How long?" Holt asked. "Minutes, maybe hours. Depends on their jamming pattern." "Keep trying," Holt said. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his thoughts. Their ship was alone. No backup, no reinforcements, no direct contact with Earth Command. And the Javari were one wrong step away from hostility. But the real pressure came from something else, the three women now under his protection. He looked again at the surrounding warships. "They want the refugees silenced," Holt said quietly. "That means what they know is important, too important." Jonah leaned closer. "If the Javari are creating some mind control system like they said, this could change everything. For their people, for the whole region." Holt nodded slowly. "And we're standing right in the middle of it." He turned to Kayla. "As soon as you break through jamming, patch me through to Earth Command. This isn't a small diplomatic issue anymore." "Yes, sir." He looked once more at the screen. "We hold position," Holt ordered. "No sudden moves. But if they try to board or fire, defend the ship." The officers nodded, though some looked visibly nervous. Back in sickbay, the Javari women were resting but not relaxed. Every sound of the ship, every footstep, every mechanical hum, made them flinch a little. Vela sat on the edge of her bed, turning something small between her fingers. It was a metal pendant shaped like a teardrop, cracked down the middle. Dr. Arya Tan approached her gently. "Does it hurt anywhere?" she asked. Vela shook her head. "The pain of the body is nothing. The greater pain is the fear of what comes next." Arya sat beside her. "I know you're afraid, but this ship is safe. Captain Holt won't let anything happen to you." Vela looked at her with sad eyes. "That is why we fear. For you. The Dominion punishes anyone who protects us. They will not stop at threats." Lyra, seated on the next bed, spoke softly. "Humans do not understand the Dominion's hunger for control. They will sacrifice entire colonies simply to keep order." Arya's throat tightened. "We understand more than you think. Humans have faced tyrants too." Nira lay quietly under a warm blanket, her face pale from exhaustion. She opened her eyes slowly. "The Dominion fears us because of what we know, but the galaxy must hear it." Vela squeezed her sister's hand. "If Captain Holt shares our knowledge with others, the Dominion will strike him first." Arya shook her head. "He knows the risks. He chose to protect you anyway." Vela whispered, "Why? Why would he risk his people for strangers he does not know?" Arya smiled softly. Because helping the innocent is not something we choose based on reward. It's something we do because it's right. The women stared at her, trying to understand this simple but powerful idea. On the bridge, Kayla suddenly stood straighter. "Captain, I have a partial breakthrough. Weak signal, but I can send a message." "Send it," Holt said. There was a short pause as Kayla transmitted a compressed report. Everything from the forced tribute to the women's warnings about a mind control network. Then the signal died again. "That's all we can send," Kayla said quietly. "Good," Holt replied. "It's enough." Jonah looked nervous. "Sir, the Javari are hailing us. They want to speak." "Put it through." The main screen flickered, then displayed a tall Javari commander with shimmering armor and stern violet eyes. "Captain Holt," the commander said smoothly, "you are holding fugitives of our dominion. Return them to us immediately." "They are refugees," Holt said firmly, "and they have requested asylum. That request is invalid. They are criminals and pose a threat to our security." "Then why try to give them away as a diplomatic gift?" Holt asked. The commander's eyes narrowed. "Human sarcasm does not amuse me." "Neither does forced surrender of frightened civilians," Holt replied. The commander's tone sharpened. "You do not know what you are interfering with. Return them, Captain." Holt did not blink. "No." Silence flooded the bridge. Then the commander leaned forward slowly. "You choose defiance?" "I choose humanity," Holt said. The commander exhaled, icy calm. "Then prepare for consequences." The screen went dark. Jonah muttered, "And here we go." In sickbay, the lights flickered as systems shifted to alert mode. Nira sat up suddenly. "Is the Dominion attacking?" Arya shook her head. "Not yet. But they aren't happy." Vela covered her face. "We have brought danger to your ship." Arya gently lowered her hands. "No. The danger comes from the Dominion, not from you." Nira whispered, "Captain Holt should not suffer for helping us." Arya smiled. "He has no regrets." But Nira's voice trembled. "We owe him our lives, and we bring him war." Before Arya could answer, Holt entered the room. His expression was serious but calm. "How are you all feeling?" he asked softly. Lyra looked at him with shining eyes. "Worried. For you." "That's my job," Holt said. "Not yours." He pulled up a chair and sat. "I need to ask you something," he said. "Something important." The women listened closely. "You said the Dominion is creating a mind control system. What exactly does it do?" The sisters exchanged uneasy looks. Finally, Vela spoke. "It uses resonance waves to suppress free thought. It forces compliance. Entire cities would obey without resistance." Lyra added softly, "It is not just control. It is erasing who people are." Nira whispered, "We saw them test early prototypes. People changed. Their eyes, their voices, all gone." Holt felt cold anger hardening inside him. "And you escaped with knowledge of how it works," he said. "Yes," Vela answered. "And the Dominion wants to silence you," Holt said. "Yes," Lyra added. Holt leaned forward. "Then help me understand the system. Help me expose what the Dominion is planning. If we can broadcast proof, the whole galaxy will see." The women froze in disbelief. "You would risk that?" Vela whispered. "To stop a nightmare like that?" Holt said. "Absolutely." Lyra shook her head slowly. "You humans are strange." Holt smiled. "We get that a lot." Nira looked up at him with fragile hope. "If we give you the information, you must promise something." "Name it," Holt said. "Promise you will not return us," she whispered. Holt placed a hand over his chest. "On my honor, as a captain of the United Earth Fleet, you will not be sent back." For the first time since they met him, the women's faces softened with real, trembling relief. Back on the bridge, Jonah called out urgently, "Captain, the Javari fleet is moving closer. They're trying to box us in." Holt rose to his feet. "Then we move now." Kayla turned. "Where? We can't outrun a whole fleet." "Not outrun," Holt said. "Outsmart." He tapped the console and opened the ship-wide announcement. "This is Captain Holt. All hands, prepare for defensive maneuvers. We are protecting refugees with critical information. The Dominion wants them silenced. We won't let that happen." He paused, letting his voice carry strength and calm. "Humanity doesn't turn its back on the innocent. Not today. Not ever." The bridge hummed with renewed energy. Jonah looked at him. "Ready when you are, Captain." Holt stared at the screen where the Javari ships glowed like red eyes in the dark. "Let's show them what humans do when someone threatens people under our protection," he said quietly. The engines powered up. The ship turned slowly. The Soul's Whisper prepared to stand against an empire. The Soul's Whisper moved through border space like a quiet arrow cutting through dark water. Every light on the bridge glowed red, warning mode. Every officer sat stiff and alert, watching the screens that showed Javari warships tailing them like hungry shadows. Captain Marin Holt stood in the center of the bridge, hands behind his back, breathing slow and steady. He knew fear helped no one. Leadership meant giving calm, even when his own heartbeat was heavy. "Status?" Holt asked. Lieutenant Jonah Reese answered, "They're following but keeping distance, like they're waiting for the perfect moment." Kayla Pierce, the comms officer, turned from her station. "They're still blocking our long-range signal. We can't send out the full message about the mind control system." "And short-range?" Holt asked. "Clear," she said, "but only within this region. If we try to broadcast locally, they'll jam it instantly." Holt nodded. "Then we need something stronger than a normal broadcast." The bridge fell quiet. Everyone knew what he meant. The refugees, Vela, Lyra, and Nera, were the only ones in the galaxy with direct knowledge of the Dominion's secret project. If humanity wanted the truth out, the sisters had to help. "Jonah," Holt said, "you have the bridge." "Yes, sir." Holt headed for sickbay. Sickbay felt calmer than the rest of the ship. Warm lights, soft humming machines, and the gentle voice of Dr. Arya Tan created an atmosphere of quiet safety. Even so, fear hovered like a thin mist around the three Javari women. Vela looked up the moment Holt entered. "You talked with the Dominion?" she asked. "They demanded your return," Holt replied honestly. "I refused." Lyra's eyes widened. "They will not forget that." Holt pulled a chair close. "I know. That's why we must act fast. We need to show the galaxy what you know." Nera, lying under blankets, whispered, "Show everything, even the darkest parts." Holt nodded. "If the Dominion controls minds, billions of people will lose their freedom. We can't let that happen." Vela looked at Lyra. Lyra looked at Nera. Silent, fearful communication passed between them. "We will help," Vela said softly. "But you must understand. This information is dangerous. Once spoken, it cannot be taken back." "Good," Holt said. "Some truths shouldn't be hidden." Lyra took a deep breath. "Then we will tell you everything." Arya stepped closer with a recording tablet. "Whenever you're ready," Vela began. "The Dominion calls it the Harmony Project. That name hides the real purpose. It is not harmony. It is obedience." She described large towers built across Javari worlds. She described crystal-like structures inside the towers that vibrated with strange energy. She described citizens who stood near those towers and began to change, smiling too calmly, speaking too softly, like puppets with invisible strings. Lyra continued. "The waves affect the parts of the mind that resist. They remove fear, anger, rebellion, but they also remove hope, dreams, and choice." Nira's voice broke. It makes them empty. As the sisters spoke, Arya recorded every word. The more they explained, the heavier the air in sickbay grew. Holt felt his stomach tighten. He had expected something terrible, but not this level of cruelty. "This is worse than we imagined," Holt said quietly. "The Dominion wants complete control over its own people." Vela nodded. "And anyone who refuses becomes a test subject." Lyra looked at Holt directly. "And now you understand why we ran. We saw our friends disappear inside those towers." Nira wiped tears from her cheeks. "We escaped because someone must warn the galaxy." Holt placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You did the right thing, and we will make sure your voices are heard." Vela took a shaky breath. "But how? The Dominion blocks all signals." Holt stood. "There may be a way, but it will be dangerous." Lyra gave a small, sad laugh. "Danger has already found us." Back on the bridge, Jonah turned as Holt entered. "Captain, we have a problem," Jonah said. "What now?" Jonah pointed to the screen. A Javari ship had moved closer. Too close. "They're scanning us. Deep scan." Holt frowned. "What are they searching for?" Kayla checked her station. "Not weapons, not engines. They're scanning for biological signatures." Holt froze. They were searching for the sisters. Jonah whispered, "They're trying to prove we're hiding them." The Javari ship broadcast a message. Kayla put it on speaker. A cold voice echoed, "Human vessel souls whisper. Release the fugitives or we will take them by force." Kayla looked at Holt. "They're preparing to board." "Not happening," Holt said. "Prepare defensive shields. No aggression unless they fire first." Jonah leaned in. "Sir, they're going to push us. They want an excuse." "I know," Holt said. He pressed the ship-wide comm. "All hands prepare for possible attack. Hold your stations. Protect the refugees." The crew responded with firm, clear voices. Not one person hesitated. Holt took a steady breath. "It's time to make our move." Below deck, in the engineering bay, the chief engineer, Maya Ortiz, paced beside the main engine core, a massive glowing cylinder humming with blue-white light. "You really want to do this?" she asked Holt as he approached. "It's the only way," Holt replied. Maya sighed. "Using the engine core as a power booster for a long-range burst transmission is risky." "How risky?" Holt asked. "Let's say the ship will definitely shake a lot." She looked away. "And there's a small chance the core might overload if we push too hard." "How small?" Holt asked. Maya shrugged. "Smallish." Holt smiled. "I'll take smallish." Maya groaned. "Of course you will." Lyra stepped forward from behind Holt. "We can guide the frequency. We know the resonance patterns the Dominion uses. If we match and counter them, our message could break through the jamming." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Can you really do that?" Vela nodded. "We lived inside their systems. We know how to disrupt them." Holt crossed his arms. "Then we work together." Maya sighed again, but nodded. "All right, but if the engine explodes, I'm haunting you." Holt grinned. "Deal." The Javari warship moved closer. Kayla reported, "Their weapons are warming up. No firing yet." "Hold steady," Holt said. Jonah whispered, "Come on, Maya. Hurry." Down in engineering, cables were being connected to the engine core. Vela and Lyra stood in front of a display, entering patterns in glowing Javari script. Nira sat beside them, guiding with soft instructions. Arya stood ready, nervous but determined. Maya shouted, "Captain, we're ready!" Holt pressed the comm. "Bridge to engineering, activate transmission." Maya's fingers danced across the controls. The core glowed brighter, then dangerously bright. The ship vibrated, just as Maya warned. Kayla yelled, "Sir, the Javari are detecting the surge!" Holt kept his eyes on the screen. Let them! In engineering, Vela shouted, "Increase the resonance!" Lyra adjusted settings. Nira whispered, "Almost, almost." The engine core released a pulse, a bright blue shockwave of energy that traveled through communication arrays and burst outward into the darkness. Kayla stared at her screen. "Transmission, incoming, going through jamming." Jonah clapped his hands. "Yes!" The truth, the sisters' testimony, the recordings, was being released across border space. But the celebration lasted 1 second. Kayla yelled, "Captain, they're firing!" On the main screen, the nearest Javari warship launched a glowing bolt of crackling energy straight toward the Soul's Whisper. "Shields up! Brace for impact!" Holt commanded. The ship shook violently. Sparks rained from a console. Panels flickered. "Shields holding! Barely!" Jonah shouted. Another shot fired, and another. "They're trying to silence us!" Holt yelled. "Protect the engine! Protect the refugees!" The ship shook again. Down in engineering, Maya grabbed a railing. "Core is overheating!" Vela shouted. "Keep it stable! We need 10 more seconds!" Lyra whispered. "Please, hold!" Nira closed her eyes. "Let the truth fly!" Holt stood firm on the bridge, gripping the railing as another blast hit them. "Come on," he whispered. Then Kayla gasped. "Captain! Transmission confirmed! The message is out!" Holt exhaled a long, heavy breath. The truth about the Harmony Project was now spreading across the region. But the Javari were not done. Jonah pointed at the screen. "Captain! The entire fleet is powering weapons!" Holt straightened. "Then Part 4 begins," he said quietly. "Prepare for the fight of our lives." The Soul's Whisper shook under another heavy blast. Sparks rained from an overhead panel and scattered across the bridge like falling stars. Alarm lights flashed red across every screen, painting the crew in sharp, urgent colors. Captain Marin Holt stood tall in the center of the chaos, gripping the railing, refusing to waver. The Javari fleet, the entire fleet, was moving toward them now, weapons glowing, hunting them with cold purpose. Lieutenant Jonah Reese shouted into the noise, "Shield strength at 30%, one more direct hit and we're in serious trouble." Kayla Pierce added, "They're coordinating fire. If they volley together, we won't survive." Holt's face hardened. Noted. On the main screen, dozens of Javari ships glowed red, their lines sharp and predatory. They looked like a storm of metal wolves closing in on a small, damaged shuttle. But Holt refused to let fear win. The truth was already out. The message from the Javari sisters, the recordings of the Harmony Project, was spreading across border channels. Resistance groups were downloading it. Merchant ships were repeating it. Even hidden Javari rebels were catching fragments. The Dominion could destroy the Soul's Whisper, but it couldn't silence the truth anymore. Kayla suddenly gasped. "Captain, multiple civilian signals are repeating our message. It's going galaxy-wide." A spark of hope flickered in Holt's chest. "Good. Then we've already won half the fight." But the other half was survival. Jonah stepped closer. "Sir, we need a plan. And fast." Holt nodded. "We're not fighting to defeat them. We're fighting to stay alive long enough for that truth to keep spreading." He turned to Kayla. "Send a short-range message to every ship nearby." "What message?" she asked. Holt's voice was steady, powerful, human. "We are protecting refugees with evidence of mass mind control. Humanity does not surrender them. We stand against tyranny. If anyone believes in freedom, stand with us." Kayla nodded and transmitted. The message shot out like a flare in the dark. Now all they could do was wait and hope someone saw it. Meanwhile, in engineering, Maya Ortiz fought to keep the engine core from overheating. The giant machine hummed like a wounded beast, its glow flickering dangerously. "Come on, sweetheart. Don't die on me," Maya muttered, tightening a coolant valve. Vela, Lyra, and Nera stood together, watching with worried eyes. "Is the ship going to explode?" Nera asked quietly. Maya wiped sweat from her forehead. "Explode? No. Melt into space goo? Maybe." The sisters stared at her, horrified. Maya laughed nervously. "Kidding, mostly." Vela stepped forward. "If there is anything we can do, tell us." "You already did the hard part," Maya said. "That broadcast changed everything." Lyra shook her head. "Broadcast or not, the Dominion wants us gone. They will not stop." Maya's voice softened. "Then we don't stop either." She pointed upward. "Your captain is buying us time. Let's make sure his ship doesn't fall apart while he does." The sisters nodded bravely. Back on the bridge, another blast slammed into the shields. The ship lurched sideways. Jonah grabbed a railing and shouted, "Shields at 10%! One more hit and they're gone!" Kayla yelled, "Multiple ships locking weapons!" The first volley fired. Bright red bolts streaked across the darkness toward the Soul's Whisper. Holt inhaled sharply. This was it. "Brace for impact," he ordered. But before the shots hit, something flashed across the screen. A blur of silver, then another, and another. Jonah blinked. "What the?" Kayla gasped. "Captain, unknown ships entering the battlefield." 3 ships flew in front of the Soul's Whisper, shields flaring as they intercepted the Javari blasts. Jonah stared. "Who are they?" Kayla read the incoming signals, stunned. "Independent traders, miners, small colony defense ships. They heard your message, sir." Holt felt his breath catch. People, ordinary people, were coming to protect them. Kayla continued reading. "More incoming. A rebel Javari vessel just joined, and a second one." Jonah punched the air. "Yes." Holt allowed himself a small, fierce smile. The Javari fleet hesitated. Their perfect formation cracked slightly as they adjusted to the unexpected interference. Kayla reported, "Some smaller ships are broadcasting public messages, accusing the Dominion of mind control. This is spreading fast." Holt looked at the screen and said quietly, "Humanity didn't fight alone after all." But the battle wasn't over. The Javari commander reappeared on the screen, furious. His voice shook with anger. "Captain Holt! You dare call outsiders to interfere with Dominion justice?" Holt met his glare without blinking. "This isn't justice. This is oppression, and people know it now." "You cannot win," the commander hissed. "We will crush you." Holt stepped forward. "Try." The commander vanished, and moments later the entire Javari fleet moved as one, preparing a massive combined volley. Jonah whispered, "Captain, that many ships firing together will destroy us and everyone helping us?" Holt nodded. "I know." Silence fell on the bridge. Then Holt straightened. "Kayla, connect me to the fleet." "All ships," she nodded shakily. "Connected." Holt spoke with calm fire. "To every ship here, stand together, spread out, break their formation. We don't need to defeat them, we only need to survive long enough for the truth to spread. Hold the line." His voice strengthened. "This is humanity, and today we stand for freedom." Jonah whispered, "HFY?" The Allied ships responded instantly. In the dark void, dozens of vessels, human, alien, rebel, civilian, moved into a scattered, unpredictable formation. The Javari prepared their deadly volley. Kayla's voice cracked. "Final countdown. 5 seconds." Jonah closed his eyes. "If we die today, at least we die doing something right." Holt lifted his chin. "We're not dying today." Kayla said quietly, 3, 2, 1. Then everything exploded into light. Not the Javari volley. Something else. Kayla screamed over the noise. "Incoming massive signal! It's... Captain, it's the United Earth Fleet!" On the screen, blue and white ships warped into the battlefield, sleek destroyers, heavy cruisers, and carriers glowing with power. The flagship projected a booming message. "This is Admiral Kepler of the Earth Fleet. All Javari warships, cease hostilities. You are outnumbered and exposed for crimes against your own people. Stand down. Shockwaves rippled across the Javari formation. Jonah's jaw dropped. We're saved! Holt exhaled a long, shaky breath of relief. The Javari commander reappeared, this time with panic in his eyes. Captain Holt, you will regret... Holt cut him off. The galaxy knows what you've done. There's no going back. The commander vanished. Moments later, Javari ships began to withdraw, slowly at first, then rapidly, disappearing into hyperspace one by one. Kayla whispered, "They're retreating." Jonah sank into his chair. We won. Somehow we won. Holt felt the weight of everything finally settle. Exhaustion. Relief. Hope. Later, in sickbay, the three Javari sisters watched the news broadcasts on a screen. Their message had spread everywhere. Entire planets were rising up. Hidden rebels were revealing themselves. Even some Javari soldiers were refusing orders. Freedom had begun to crack through the Dominion's armor. Nira looked at Holt with wide, grateful eyes. You kept your promise. Holt smiled softly. Of course I did. Lyra stepped forward. The galaxy owes you, but especially, we owe you. Vela bowed her head. We will never forget what you did. No one ever protected us before. Holt shook his head. I didn't do it alone. Humanity stands together. And today, so did many others. The three women exchanged warm, relieved smiles, smiles that carried hope for the first time in their lives. Arya stepped beside Holt. What happens now? Holt looked at the sisters, then at his crew. Now, he said, we take them to a safe world, a place where they can live freely. And then we help the galaxy rebuild with the truth. Nira whispered. Humans, you shine like stars in the dark. Holt chuckled. We try. And as the soul's whisper turned toward home, escorted by allies from many worlds, Holt knew one thing. The galaxy had changed forever. And it all began with three frightened voices whispering, Human, please don't send us back. Humanity didn't. Humanity stood. Humanity fought. HFY.